Good. PD Health at Home is presented by the Light of Day Foundation, whose generosity has made this programming possible. The Parkinson's Foundation provides weekly education and wellness programs virtually through our PD Health at Home series, which includes Mindfulness Mondays, Wellness Wednesdays, and Fitness Fridays. As a reminder, all of our programs are held at the same time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can learn more and register for these programs by visiting parkinson.org/pdhealth. Join us this week for Wellness Wednesday for a program for those of you who may be new to Parkinson's and identify as care partners. We all want to do our best to support our loved one with Parkinson's. While it does not require special training, it does take time to learn the best ways to help a spouse, a partner, or loved one living with Parkinson's. In this week's Wellness Wednesday, we will offer tips on how to make a positive impact in the life of your loved one living with Parkinson's while also supporting yourself. Wow, it's a paradox, right? To include thinking about caring for ourselves while we care about others. You can find out more and register again at that website, parkinson.org/pdhealth. And I believe Delia will drop that link in the chat for us. Thanks, Delia. Great. I will stop my share screen. Many of you might recognize the face that's about to appear here, nice and big on our screen. Dr. Danielle Carns was the facilitator for last year's Care Partner Summit. And we've been working with each other for a couple of weeks now, and really excited to engage her in this mindful, very special community. Dr. Carnes, if you would share a little bit about yourself and then lead us through today's mindfulness session. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. So I'm really happy to be here. A little bit about me. I'm a neuropsychologist at UPMC in the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, and my areas are, of course, movement disorders, and then I specialize in epilepsy, and then I direct the functional neurologic symptom disorder program at UPMC. So I'm really happy to be here today. I've been working with Krista for a long time now, and getting involved with some mindfulness work is really something I'm very, passionate about. So I'm happy to be a part of this today. So in a moment, you're going to see the screen here pop up. All right. So today I want to just introduce our mindfulness practice where we're going to try and open up our mind to facilitate some change, some transformative change. So as we begin this mindfulness practice, I would like for you all to get into a comfortable seated position. I want you to take the next 30 or so seconds to really notice how your body feels as it moves. Notice the position that you ultimately end up in. Shift, move, whatever you need to do for the next few seconds. Even take a moment to identify any areas of tension or physical discomfort, and use this time as much as you need to make any modifications necessary to reduce that discomfort. Now, the mindfulness practice today will help to solidify a foundation where we can challenge our automatic thoughts. At times, this may, and likely will, feel counterintuitive as we take the notion that negative emotions, discomfort, and suffering are wrong, and to modify it to highlight how necessary, in fact, it is to feel those negative emotions, discomfort, and suffering in order to live our life to the fullest. Today, I'll be utilizing the RAIN technique, which is a radical act of self-love and kindness, where we begin to recognize and define what challenges we're facing. Allow that experience to be what it is. with a curious mind to investigate the emotion or experience, and then nurture it by remembering this experience or emotion does not define you. Now, I've given you some time to get into a comfortable seat, so I'd like for you to place your hands in your lap with your palms facing upward. You may close your eyes if that is preferable to quiet the environment around you and limit any distractions. Let's begin by taking in a full-bodied breath. Breathing in through your nose and sighing out through your mouth or nose. As you breathe in, notice how the air feels as it passes through your nose and fills your lungs. Take a moment to experience how your abdomen shifts and expands. As you breathe out, notice the sensations, warmth, and maybe even some pressure as we finish exhaling. I'd like for you to continue breathing at your own pace. Find your unique rhythm, recognizing how your body feels with each inhalation as we accept this loving gift from our environment, the gift of oxygen. You may notice that with each breath, parts of your body become heavy, become relaxed, and you may even feel a release of tension in some areas. A release like stretching a rubber band and letting it go. Just take a moment and experience this moment. Notice any remaining tension or discomfort and acknowledge it. How you're feeling on this day, in this moment, right now. Embody this. Because with each breath, we are becoming more and more grounded, becoming more and more centered. Just breathe. Centered and grounded, I want you to now think about a difficult emotion, a reactive emotion, one that you may have experienced recently, or one that you are currently experiencing. This emotion could be fear, sadness, anxiety, or even anger. Breathe into it. Think about what has been weighing on your mind. If your thoughts begin to pull your attention away, simply observe them going past and bring yourself back to the current activity. This can happen, and it's okay. In this moment, envision the experience that prompted that emotion or reaction. Was the experience interpersonal? Perhaps a negative interaction at work with a coworker, or even at home with a loved one? Was it about receiving upsetting news about an illness or a diagnosis? Is it tied to shifts in your own self-identity? Was this experience rooted in loss? Loss of a loved one, loss of independence, or loss of a life that was so familiar for so long? Whatever it may be, focus in on that experience. Breathe into it. Once the events or environment that triggered that reaction that we have defined is clear, I want you to imagine you're holding it all in your hands. Envision it resting in your palms, which are facing upward in your lap. While you're envisioning this in your hands, you may even want to softly close your hands and hold that negative emotion, that reactive emotion. Or bring your hands together in your lap, accepting that you'll be holding that hard experience for the duration of this practice. Recognize the emotion. Remind yourself of the anxiety, despair, anger, or fear, whatever it is that you have been struggling with. Silently hold that and say to yourself, it's okay. This belongs. Reminding yourself you are holding this moment in your hands. Curiously consider how this feels right now and let the investigation begin. Perhaps this is an experience that has gone and passed. Perhaps it is something ever present. Regardless, while holding the space for this reactive emotion, consider, how does this impact my values, my beliefs? How does this make me more or less vulnerable? While holding this and reflecting, take a moment to refocus on your breath. Breathe in as we begin this transformative change and open our minds. I want you to step away and acknowledge the sense in your body. Are you feeling heavy as you're holding this? Has your breathing changed? Is your heart rate beating faster? Or is there a newfound tension as you scan your body? Whatever you notice, do not judge. Do not try to change. Rather, embrace what you feel. Recognize the pain or suffering that accompanies this. Accepting and validating this challenging moment is a radical act of kindness and compassion. Breathe into it. Take several deep breaths at your own pace. Just keep breathing. As you continue taking those deep breaths, start to direct your attention to your hands. Your hands that have been holding the weight in space for this experience. Take a time to acknowledge the strength you've possessed through this journey. Acknowledge that you are not this feeling or this reaction, but acknowledge that you can hold space for it. Now locate the deepest and darkest part of that experience. Envision this. With a clear image in mind, I want you to silently offer comfort to the deepest and darkest part of that experience. I want you to offer love, offer companionship or reassurance. Silently whisper, I love you. Silently whisper, it's not your fault. And maybe silently whisper, you are good enough and you are whole. Continue repeating words of kindness. And as you do this, I want you to bring your hands that are holding that pain and that discomfort. And I want you to take your hands and rest them on your heart. Take this painful experience, offer it love, offer it light, embrace it with warmth, and let the wisdom of this experience flow into you. I want you to keep breathing. With each inhale, envision breathing in self-love. And with each exhale, remove any self-doubt. Keep breathing. Feel your heart and the strength that has allowed you to progress through this journey of radical acceptance and growth. Keep breathing. Remember, We are not limited by the negative things we experience, but can be built up by embracing them. When you are all ready, you may slowly bring your awareness back to the room, resting your hands where you like, perhaps moving your fingers and your toes. If your eyes are closed, slowly begin to open them and bring your awareness back to this current space. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to go through this mindfulness practice with me, allowing you to open up your minds and maybe dig deep into some really challenging experiences. So thank you. Are there any questions about this experience? I always like to, I spoke with Krista, um, opening up the dialogue for discussion is always something I'm interested in. So, how was it for everyone? Let's see. I do have the script. I can send it to whomever would like. Wrote it yesterday, so happy to share. um, ACT is a really wonderful type of therapy that I kind of incorporated into this practice. It really is, it's really hard to radically accept and to love the things that are challenging. But when we accept and validate, it doesn't mean we like or agree, it just means that we are acknowledging its presence and perhaps need to stand tall on that particular foundation and work from it. All right. So I saw that it was a little intense. Sometimes that can happen when we're digging a little deep into some of those challenging experiences. So I'm glad that it was beneficial for those of you I'm seeing in the chat here. Any questions about it for me that I might be able to answer with our remaining time?
Dr. Carns, would you highlight the acronym of RAIN for us as we close out?
Absolutely. So RAIN is, again, it's an ACT, you could say program or way of thinking. And the acronym stands for recognize, accept, investigate, and nurture. So really being able to label things, being able to say, I think this is what I need in this moment. What can I do? And really curiously kind of investigate that and say, okay, even if I'm not sure, let me try to, perhaps engage in this activity that might, help with my current situation. May not be right, but we kind of engage and curiously try things because it allows us to recognize that even in times when we don't feel like we have the answers, we have more control than we think we do. Well, thank you, Krista, for putting that in the chat. Anything else? Nancy, thank you for saying that my voice was soothing. My partner may disagree. All right. Any other thoughts, Krista?
I just wanna thank you, Dr. Carnes, and recognize that if meditation and or mindfulness was easy, we would all be doing it. So the challenge of being mindful as we flow through our lives, as we flow through Parkinson's, is one that you have opened the portal to by being present here. So thank you for showing up for yourselves. And we also see this ripple effect of it affecting those around us. Um, so I'll pause my intellectual thoughts there and see if you have anything to say and share as we close out, Dr. Carnes. Thank you.
So, I guess one final thing that I'll say is that, Krista, like you mentioned, mindfulness is not easy. It's like a muscle that we have to constantly kind of build. Going to the gym, we don't pick up the 100-pound weight. We have to pick up two or three maybe to start, and then over time it gets easier. And these things then become more natural. We begin to, view the challenges that we see in life non-judgmentally, and are more accepting of the things that we may have difficulty with. And that, from a cognitive perspective, allows us to regulate our emotions and to problem solve effectively and work collaboratively with not just ourselves, but others. Um, and so I really enjoyed being here today. And for those of you who mentioned it was really hard holding those emotions, you held them even when you thought you couldn't. And so reminding ourselves of the strength that we all carry is what I'll leave you all with.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Carnes, and thank you to all of you who continue to show up or have just begun showing up. We'll see you guys on March 4th for Mindfulness of the Body. I'll see you guys then. Until soon, may you be well and may you be present.